Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about whether or not always-on availability groups are right for you. This is one of the hottest new features in SQL Server 2012, and Microsoft has enhanced it again in SQL Server 2014. I'm Brent Ozar. I'm co-founder of Brent Ozar Unlimited. I work a lot with always-on availability groups because my clients want to build really high-performant and really highly available SQL servers. So I've got a lot of Microsoft certifications and whatnot that just says Microsoft says, yeah, he kind of sort of knows what he's talking about. So to start, we're going to take a little quiz to figure out whether or not always-on availability groups are right for you or wrong for you. Get a pen. Yours doesn't have to say Microsoft Certified Master on it, but I like this because it's heavy. It's like my $20,000 pen. Cost me 20 grand for that certification, and I got a nice pen. So there you go. So get yourself out a little piece of paper, and we are going to go through a little 6-question quiz that will determine whether or not always-on availability groups are right for your company or not. It's kind of like one of those Cosmo quizzes, except it's not about whether or not your database server is good in bed. It's just about whether or not your team is able to handle always-on availability groups. Starting with question number 1, my webcam just says, oh, hey, heads up, it's time for our broadcast. Yes, I know that. Thanks. Thanks a lot for that. So question number 1, how does my calendar work? Question number 1, how many full-time DBAs do you guys have in your company? Give yourself 1 point if you have none, 2 points if you have 1, 3 points if you have 2, or 4 points if you have more than 2. We're just going to track up the total amount of points that you get throughout here. Second off, has your team managed clusters before? And if you're a little bit familiar with always-on availability groups, you might be saying, but Brent, I don't want to use a cluster in my always-on availability group. I hear you, but it's the same kind of troubleshooting, so that skill really starts to pay off. Give yourself a point if no one ever has managed clusters before. 2, if one person has done 1 or 2 clusters. 3, if one person has a lot of experience troubleshooting production clusters. And then 4, if 2 or more people on the team have been doing a lot of troubleshooting against production clusters. Third question, our monitoring software is 1 point if it's just something you've always wanted, 2 points if it's something that sends you emails that you just file off into a folder in Outlook, 3 if you just poke in every now and then and it's vaguely helpful, or 4 if you know that as soon as there's an outage you go straight to the monitoring tool and you start digging in and troubleshooting from there. I know this is a webcast sponsored by Idera, but this same quiz holds true whether or not I'm talking from a vendor's perspective or just to a team of DBAs. I actually asked these same questions, and you're going to see why. It's kind of hairy. Question 4, what do we need to offload? Often people start using always-on availability groups because one of the cool features is that you can offload read-only queries to a secondary server somewhere else. It's awesome, but it depends on what kind of work you want to offload. If you want to offload your writes and your reads, only give yourself 1 point because this isn't really a good fit for always-on availability groups. All the way down to 4 points if you have very specific parts in your application that are easy to lay out and say this is the exact part that we want to be able to offload to a secondary server. Question number 5, our read-only queries, the parts that we're going to query against a replica, either 1 point